Well, happy Good Friday, everybody. Welcome to this week 2 of Homeschool Chat. Pastor Andy here and Pastor Julie right over there. Say hi, Julie.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
And everybody in the chat, I would like you to do me a favor. First off, wish everybody a happy Good Friday. And second of all, wish Pastor Julie a happy birthday. She's turning the ripe old age of 27 years old today, ladies and gentlemen. 27. So wish her happy birthday on all her socials. Blow up all her stuff. It's going to be great to see. Hey, listen, we are live today for our homeschool chat. We had our chat last week. It was great. Everybody shared it. It was amazing to see everybody sharing this video. We had something like 50 or 45 shares or something across a bunch of different platforms. It was awesome. Keep that up. We really thank you. We, and particularly her, want to be able to help you in your homeschooling venture because she's the expert, as you learned last week. She did this for like 1,000 years with 14 kids, and she knows all the answers. But she actually brought a couple of friends along as well. So I'm going to introduce them to the stream now. There's Suzy and Tammy. Julie, why don't you introduce your friends for us, please?
Okay, well, we have Tammy Keys, and she is a teacher at Sickles High School. She teaches language arts, and she actually has a lot of years of teaching experience. She taught for a long time. So took some time out to be home with her kids, and now she's back in the classroom. And so she's got a lot of great advice for us. And Suzy Bump is actually an elementary school teacher. She teaches kindergarten. And Suzy actually is also, while she's teaching now remotely, she's also raising her own children. She's got 3 kids in the home. So she's got that view as well, who's trying to manage being a teacher and leading her kids through this, but also managing her own home.
Great. You guys, you sound very busy. So congratulations. I'm very happy for that. Tell me, in the kind of the homeschooling thing, Tammy, Suzy, how has all of this been so far? How have the last couple of weeks been for you guys?
We have been learning a lot. During at the very beginning of our spring break, we were told, hey guys, we are going to a whole new e-learning platform. And we need you guys to be able to be adaptable. Here are your tools. Please learn them. And so we've had to really quickly adapt and learn to be flexible and open and just grasping new tools.
Tim, how about you?
It's been interesting and exciting, really. We've had such a response from the community. It's been crazy the way we've had so many resources that have been offered up to the teachers in the school system, and at times a little overwhelming. We've had to learn a lot of new things. But on the plus side, I feel like, boy, I'm a lot more tech savvy than I used to be, for sure.
Excuse me. You guys haven't been getting Zoom bombed yet, have you?
No. Not too bad.
Good. So tell me, you guys have been teachers for a long time. Julie, you were teaching homeschool as well. How has it been teaching in a time like this? Like what have been the advantages and disadvantages of teaching in something like this?
You want to go?
Okay. Advantages of teaching like this, you can adapt the schedule. You can adapt your schedule to make it work for you. Knowing that you're going to have to add in some school learning time and managing your household at the same time. So finding that balance. So kind of learning how to make that balance all work. That's been a positive. It shows us we can be flexible. We can adapt. We can make it work with the situation we're in. Just keep giving your best.
Absolutely. Tammy, how about you?
Well, I'll tell you, it's there have been some kids that have really benefited from this, that are really thriving better than if we were in the school setting. So that's been a nice surprise to see some kids that were really kind of struggling and having some trouble doing better and getting work in. So that's been a really nice surprise.
So when you say that they're thriving or they're better in this, why is that? Why would that be?
Well, I think some of it is, there's a lot of pressures, especially at the high school. You're up early. You have, if you're involved in extracurricular, you've got all of those pressures. You've got the social pressures of other students, plus the schoolwork pressures. So, right now in this little bubble we're in, really a lot of that is gone. So they don't have all those extra pressures. It's basically you're home and you have school. So I think it's helped some kids.
I like that. So Tammy, especially you, what are some of the issues? I mean, Suzy, you can jump in this too, but what are some of the issues that you're seeing with the older students in all of this?
I think probably the biggest thing I'm seeing is them, getting more familiar with the technology, if you can believe that, since they're kids. There's certain aspects of technology they're very well versed in, but getting used to the platform that we're using, getting used to the ins and outs, we've both been learning, myself and the students. So that's been a new experience for all of us. And I think them getting organized and staying organized. Most teachers, I think, for the most part, tend to be organized because it's the nature that's how you have to be if you're going to teach. But for the kids, I think that's been a challenge for some of them.
And by the way, for everybody watching right now, either right now or later on, feel free to ask any questions you want. Throw them in the chat. If we can find them and pick them out and see them now, we'll try to answer them. If not, Pastor Julie, has actually picked a list of questions from last week's video that we're going to kind of be rolling in here. So if you watched last week, make sure that you stay in. So if you have questions for Pastor Julie or Tammy or Suzy, or if you'd have questions for me, which you probably shouldn't because I haven't been home, which, by the way, I need to give a little update. My wife, Jenna, who's actually out that door right now, cutting one of her friend's hair because she's amazing like that. We have 3 children. We have a 15-year-old, we have a 13-year-old, and we have a 10-year-old. And she has spent this entire week and a half, but really this week, tearing her absolute hair out, trying to get acquainted with the technology. Tammy, just like you said, with the kids that may not know like, these kids know their ins and outs on the Xbox One and on the iPad, but give them Blackboard or e-learning or whatever, and it's like everything falls apart. I don't get it. And so my wife has been a saint in all of that. So I don't know if she can hear me, but
Jenna.
Yay, Jenna's great. So Suzy, so we're going to follow on that same line. What about younger kids? What are some of the issues you're seeing with younger students right now?
I'm seeing a lot of the students and the families feeling overwhelmed, really overwhelmed with they're pulled in so many different directions. They might have multiple children, elementary age children, or even slightly older, and they're having to share devices or multitask. They're being asked to cook and prepare, and the dishes are piling up higher because they're all home. So really feeling overwhelmed, and then these new tools. We don't usually use this tool EdP in elementary. That's very frequently used in middle and high school. But in elementary, this was a brand new tool that all of the families, teachers included, were asked to use to be able to see what lesson to work on. So that is a big tool that they were asked to use. And I think parents and families and students are all having to pivot in multiple directions a lot.
So I asked this question to Pastor Julie last week, and I'm going to ask it to you too as well. What are some practical steps that you can do to kind of alleviate some of those tension for the younger students, for the older students, and for the parents who are watching this as well? What are some of the practical things you can do?
So practical. What's practical? In the elementary age, just giving 1 to 2 hours a day max is plenty. That's enough. That's okay. You're juggling multiple subjects, the reading, the writing, the math, social studies, and science, and giving at least 1 hour a day is plenty. That's acceptable. That's okay. And I think parents were getting a lot of the assignments. It looked like they were getting a lot of district lesson plans sent out, and take those breaks as you need to. Take a break. It's okay. Including, just get outside for a moment and make it fun. Try to find ways to make the learning fun, because who knows how long we're being asked to be like this. But really, it's okay. The short 1 to 2 hours a day is okay.
Tammy, any follow up on that?
I would agree. Just keep in mind, we can't duplicate what we would have in a school day. You can't set it up that way. There's other things happening. There's distractions. So I think it is important to take breaks if you need it. Get outside, go take a walk, go have your lunch outside, have your breakfast outside, just something to break it up if you need to. And be flexible and patient.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. I've the getting outside thing. So I think my wife watched the one from last week, and we've set up the back porch so that the kids, they get up from the table and where they're working, they go eat their lunch outside. They come back in, and it has completely just changed their demeanor. So that's a real helpful one. Another one that we can kind of benefit from, and Pastor Julie, I want to ask you this one. We found that, and you talked about this last week, one of the biggest parts is now that we now get to involve the Lord in our education. So give me some tips, give me some steps, how can we do that throughout the day?
Right. Yeah. So many of us, we wish that God was part of our kids' education. And so now here's a chance. First of all, I would say start your day with a short family devotional. It's a good way to kind of bring everybody together, kind of calm everybody down, and get everybody kind of centered and remind everyone of who we are. So, and it can be one verse. It can be as simple as, hey, let's read this one verse together. And, one verse that our family looked at a lot was Colossians 3:23. And it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord and not man. And it was just kind of a way to bring us in and say, hey, we can do this to honor God. The way we do our school today can honor God, and we can involve God in that. So beginning with a quick devotion, it doesn't have to be a long one. And then as you go through the day, you can pray with your kids at lunchtime. You can, when kids get frustrated, you can stop and say, hey, you know what? Let's pause and pray for a minute.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't have to be long. It can be hey, God, help me with this. I'm frustrated here. God, I don't know how to do this problem. Please renew my mind so that I can understand this concept. And also just pointing out to your kids when you're studying science, the human body is amazing. And so it's so easy to say, look at this. Look what God did in your body. Look what God did in nature. And so you can really pull it in little sentences throughout. When you're studying history, you can say, what do you think God was doing at that point in history? What do you think good came from that point in history? Because God has a plan. Even through awful things, he can bring beautiful things on the other side. So it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It's just little bits through the day make a big difference.
So the pastoral part of me, and I'm going to give a little background to this. One of my favorite times is, and this happens about once a month, when my wife, she'll work. She's a hairstylist, and so she'll work at nights occasionally. 2 nights out of the week, and I usually cook anyway. I love to cook around the house, do all that stuff, and so I'll cook dinner. And I'll cook dinner 4 nights out of the week, let's say. And 2 of those nights she won't be here, and so I'll have the kids kind of sitting at the bar area, and I'll be serving them pancakes or whatever we're eating. And routinely, they'll ask me questions about the Bible. Like, for example, the last one was our middle daughter, Grace. She's 13. They started studying the Big Bang Theory. And she said, well, that's not true, right? Like, we believe that God created the earth. And I said, well, let's examine this, because there are parts of the Big Bang Theory that prove out in all of creation. And so me, having gone through pastoral training, I knew the kind of the apologetic and the way to work through that. And I knew how to say, like, yes, the Big Bang Theory, like, in its essence may not be correct, but all of the core components are there. And it's just scientists trying to explain how creation happened and all this other stuff. And so it was great. And she walked out of there, and like all 3 of them were edified and all that. What do you say to the parents that don't necessarily have theological training and their kids are going to ask those questions? How do you go about that one?
Right. Well, you know what? The first answer is it's okay to say to your kids, I really don't know. Because it's true. We don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. So I've definitely had to do that with my kids. I don't know the answer to that. Let's look it up. There are resources all over the internet. And actually, we can come up with a document with some great resources and attach that later on today or tomorrow.
Yes.
But if you look on the website, there are a lot of websites with great, simple answers that can guide you through talking about some of these things. And thank them for asking you. It's great when kids will say, hey, I don't understand that, or I disagree. And that's just an open door to talk. We have so much time with our kids right now. It's a great opportunity to talk about these things. Yeah. And to say, I'm really glad you're thinking about that. So also don't, it's not good to shame them. If they have a question, that's okay. And also, another thing is we don't all see things the same way. It's a good opportunity to say, yeah, a lot of people think this. According to the Bible, we think this. And having grace with other people with different views is a really important thing too.
I love that. Let's transition a little bit. So let's get out of the kind of core component teaching, and I'm going to throw a question out to all three of you. The quarantine time is rough in a whole lot of ways, not just for parents, but for kids as well. So how do the three of you, how do you deal with the emotional and sort of social side? The kids aren't, I know this from, again, I have a very hormonal 13-year-old daughter who will cry like that because she can't go see her friends. And it's like, so how do you deal with certain situations like that?
You want to go ahead, Tammy?
I don't know. It was mine are older, but it's been challenging though, being locked in all together. Everybody's got their space staked out because they have to be on the computers. So they have to have their workspace. My husband's working at home as well. So we're all kind of have our little areas, my little area staked out. But I don't know. It's just, I think everybody's very lucky that we have devices and programs and things that we can FaceTime and Zoom and do all of these things, because if we couldn't do that, I can't even imagine how much worse this might be.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. Thank goodness for the Wi-Fi. I think that helps my own kids. I have a 19, 15, and a 14-year-old, and I know they need the social aspect. They need to be able to still connect with their friends. And I see my daughter, she's calling me out here and saying, hey, Mom, come do this TikTok video with me, and I want to post this out there. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, what do I do now? So she's bringing me in there. I think we're and then, so just connecting as a house, right? Just us including one another and using the tools we have, like this Wi-Fi. But then I think about how socially, how can we get our students to connect? I'm concerned that, my kindergartners are these elementary students. How do they connect with one another? And I think that's a lot of the purpose of these Zoom lessons that we have as a class, so that they can see each other. I know in elementary, they are able to see each other's faces and share. And we do a show and tell time on Friday, so they can have that time to just show their little dinosaur chomping on the screen, or so really just finding ways that will work to connect your students, connect your family, however large or small they are at home, just to connect with the social and get that social emotional piece.
Yeah. Julie, anything?
Yeah, I would just say, as a homeschooler, that alone can be very isolating, because you're not teaching with a team, you're not teaching with a staff, you're kind of on your own. And even though this isn't like traditional, we talked last week, this isn't like traditional homeschooling, it's very different. But still, parents can feel very isolated and stressed. And so I would just really encourage parents to reach out to your friends, talk to your other parents in your class or other people that are doing the same thing. Because when we're doing something by ourselves, we can get into the feeling like it's just me, I'm terrible at this, or my kids have these serious issues. But then when you talk to your friends, you'll find out, no, this other 13-year-old was very cranky today too. I'm not the only one. or, I'm not the only one who had to give myself a timeout this day because this is hard. So I would say parents, stay in connection with your friends, with other people too. It's not just about the kids, it's about the parents also.
Awesome. I want to move to something that we got asked online last week. And the question was, if you end up with a frustrated kid, do you call it a day?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Wait, why? Are you saying your kids were frustrated when you were homeschooling?
Yeah, we ran into that a time or two. And, it just depends on your situation. And so first of all, sometimes it's a discipline thing where the child needs to keep on. We needs to learn. Yep, we all have to do things that we don't want to do. And so they need to have some family discipline. Yes, we're going to keep on with this and we're going to press through. You've got to get your work done because everybody has to do things that they don't want to do.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a learning frustration thing where you've just got to stop and maybe look at the subject a little bit differently. But acknowledge to the child, yeah, you're frustrated. It's good to work through frustration because that's how we grow. But sometimes it is time to throw in the towel and say, this day is done and we're going to come back at it tomorrow. So I've definitely seen all three of them. I'm sure Suzy and Tammy have too, where sometimes this particular child is just at their wit's end. They're done. And rather than have this awful standoff for the rest of the day, it's time to say, you know what, we're going to put the books away today and we're going to jump in the pool and we'll come back strong tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a shame that our pool here is closed. But yeah, I'm sure my wife would want to go have gone and done that. We just got a comment from Donna, and she said, I've tried to help my granddaughter with her math and homework. Nope, not happening. It's hard. Raise your hand. Hey, Donna, first of all, raise your hand if you've run into that. Also, following up on that last little bit from Lynn Agnew, Bay Hope's Zoom Bible study for the high schoolers was an amazing connection for a high school who's homeschooling himself alone, as my husband and I are essential workers. So grateful for our community, stay connected. Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate that. And I appreciate having those Bible studies as well. Suzy, you're absolutely right. Like the ability for everybody to just kind of connect via Wi-Fi. Like I've heard all of these anecdotes and things about the Spanish flu and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, how would we have done life? How would I, particularly a 36-year-old digital native, have done life way back then? It would have been death in a handbasket. So we're gonna start to kind of transition to basically our last question, unless we call any from the chat. But as we move forward, we don't know how long this is going to last. Obviously, we're praying for miracles. We're praying for everything to kind of turn quickly. But what's your one big piece of advice for families that are watching this right now? Parents, whomever is watching this, what's your one big piece of advice?
I'll answer first if you want. Find ways to make it work. Be patient with one another. If your sibling is having a Zoom, can you try to, keep the background noise or just help them or sharing devices? Be patient, be a team together so that you can make it work. Come up with that schedule that works for your house. Your house is now this team. Reach out to your teachers, reach out to other close family members with Skype or Zoom. You can get the help you need. Don't take it all on yourself. Find the help you need. Find ways to make it work because you can do it.
Now, following up on that, where is that curriculum dependent? Is that grade dependent? Like where would the best help for, let's say, a mom with a fourth grader? Where would she go? Where would be the best place for her to go?
Does she have, I guess initially find what that need is. If it's that fourth grader trying to figure out how to solve that math problem, reach out to her teacher. Can she get the help? And that's easily done through EDSB. If she has a family member or parents might have to kind of tag team. If dad's quicker or mom's better at the math, can they help look online? There's Khan Academy. There's resources out there that parents can use that'll give that exact type of example if it's a math activity. But find reach out to your church community and seek help through them wherever you can. Neighborhoods, I guess, be creative and don't just keep it into yourself, but maybe reach out and say, hey, you know anybody who can help with this?
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. Tammy, Julie?
Well, I was just going to say too, for those that are in the school system, be sure to check the school's website. The schools have really been good about posting a lot of information there, resources from the guidance counselors, the school psychologists, all areas, and that's always a good place to start. It has lots of links and things for them to reach out and make contact with people. And the teachers, EDSB is we're all on EDSB. So anytime, you want to reach out to the teacher, you can stay in communication. That's probably, I think, the biggest thing is just to keep the communication open and don't let things snowball.
Yeah. You know what, Tammy, the other day, you said something really, really great. You said parents and students should just really give themselves a high five because they're doing great. They're really adjusting to this amazingly, and just recognizing that this is hard, but look at the good things. So many great things are happening, and who would have thought that we could, as a country, pull this off? If someone had told us a couple months ago that within a matter of like a couple weeks, all the kids would be doing school remotely, we wouldn't have believed that it could possibly happen. But look what has happened. It's just really amazing. So I totally agree. Everyone should be going, wow, we're pretty amazing. But, one thing that I was thinking about is, before you start school next week, maybe take a pause and ask yourself some questions. And maybe, ask yourself, what is the most important thing right now? And what do I want my kids to look back in 3 months or 3 years and remember about this time? Do we want them to look back and think, oh, that was the worst time of my life. It was horrible. Everyone was stressed. Everyone was scared. Or what if they could look back and say, it was weird, but my family actually got along really well. Or we learned some new things about each other. And, my mom taught me how to do this amazing thing, or my dad sat down with me and read books to me. The education of our children is very, very important, but there are some bigger things at stake here. And I would say the long-term effects of this on our children and our families is far more important. And we have this opportunity, if we can take it as an opportunity, this opportunity to just pour into our kids, to love them. They're kind of away from their peers right now. They're away from, maybe, like Tammy was saying, maybe they're away from some bad situations right now. And we have this opportunity to love our families well and to lead them well, and just to pray over them. So what if we embrace that? What could our country look like on the other side of this? It's families all over the country just embrace this beautiful time, even though it's hard, if we made something beautiful of it.
One Sherry Leatherwood just piped in, and she said, I love this, Julie. Basically, what's most important, basically, as families, let's keep the main thing. And I love that. I'm very prone. I've been very tired a lot lately. There's been a whole lot going on at church and a whole lot going on with work and all of that at home. And the last thing that you want to do is have a very long, drawn out conversation with the kids. And then all of a sudden they start talking and it's like, oh yeah, everything's good. You guys are the best. I don't know why I was stressing this. I don't know why any of this stuff. Real quick, Tammy and Suzy, there's a question for me. How has the response back from parents? Has it been overwhelming? Is it been kind of ebbs and flows? What's it been like?
I, as a high school teacher, it's probably a little different. The kids are probably more self-sufficient. The parents aren't probably as involved. I've had parents, though, that our parents do seem to be staying on top of things, seem to be checking EDSB, monitoring what's going on with them. So, but I would like to just say what Julie was talking about. The kids take their cues from us, no matter what age they are. And if we're acting panicked and stressed out, that's going to feed into them. If we're being positive and conveying that, you know what, we're just going to roll with this. It's different. It's hard. It's challenging. Lord knows my brain. I don't think my brain could hold as much stuff as I've taken in the last week, but it has been. And you know, it's how we act, how we project is what they're going to pick up on.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think initially parents were feeling very overwhelmed, as were we. Now I'm getting a lot more feedback, and thank you for being so flexible. I think, and them realizing it doesn't have to be so rigid. It is really just give that hour. If you can find that hour of time, I think they're realizing, okay, that's realistic. With all of what I'm having to manage and trying to take care of what I need to at home for my work. And I think just hearing that, they feel like, okay, I need to prioritize. My family is the most important thing. And this, you know, we can come back to this e-learning. But I think parents have definitely, and families are adjusting quickly. I think that's really, we're showing ourselves what really is important. Family matters first. And that we're adaptable. We can adjust.
Yeah.
Do you, and I asked Pastor Julia this question last week, and I'm going to throw it out to public school teachers. Do you think this is going to, do you think we're going to see an uptick in parents saying, hey, I can do this whole homeschool thing, and pulling their kids out of school? There's a little giggle there.
Yeah, I'm laughing because we had just talked about this when we were walking the other night, and I think maybe for some, I think it's just wonderful that we have so many options for kids today. Yeah. You know, it used to be that if a kid was having trouble or was suffering from anxiety or having different issues, they didn't have a lot of options. And so now they can do online if they want, or if they need the interaction that they get from being in the school, they can do that. They can do a little of each also, at least at the high school level. They can be part of the day at the school, or they can be part of the day at home. So I think that's really the exciting thing, is that these kids now have so many options that they can get their high school education and not be held back. And I think that's just awesome.
Awesome.
Well, and I think we're all seeing all over social media how people are appreciating their teachers a lot more.
I don't know if you saw the John Krasinski thing, the Some Good News, the John Krasinski's Some Good News. He did week 2, and he said something to the effect of, I've been teaching my kid, or my wife and I have been teaching my kids for a week and a half now, and it's going very poorly. And we now believe that all teachers need to get paid $1.7 million a week. And I was like, yep, I feel you, dude. I'm with you. Cool. Well, we've got a lot of people chiming in on the chat, just saying hello. So we're going to wrap up with this question, and this is going to be for all three. And I want you all to pick out the best thing that you're seeing from all of this. What's I always love ending on a high point. So what's the one good thing that you're seeing throughout all of this?
I can tell you, for me and my family, we are eating, and I have older kids, right? As a family, we are eating together once, at least twice a day at this table, or in preparing meals together. And that is so wonderful. It is a blessing. And really, we are preparing meals together. We're eating them together and cleaning them together. They're all pitching in with the house chores, and they might not be as happy about that part as I am, but I like that. I feel like they're getting great skills, and it's a wonderful, heartfelt feeling.
Awesome.
Yeah, us too. I feel like it's been good. We've been able to really have time to talk and have real conversations, not just, a couple of words in and out as they're flying out the door or coming in or we're heading out. So that's been the really good part too.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like this is, so in our home, we talked about this last week, but for people who don't know, I have 4 young adult children, and so they're all out of the house. But now my younger daughter who lives in LA is here in Tampa working remotely, and our sons are both doing school at our home in Tampa. And so it's kind of like this bonus time that I really would not have had all of my kids in the house for this amount of time ever again. So we're looking at it that way, like it's a gift in that way. But you know, one thing that I'm just impressed by overall in this situation is the amount of grace and kindness that we're seeing from corporations, from all kinds of groups doing things like increasing pay of these people, like, you know, all kinds of situations. I can't now, I'm like trying to think of them, but it's just beautiful to see people being generous, giving food, giving a word. Our church is doing some things for St. Joseph's Hospital North because we just want to thank the people that are working there. We just appreciate it so much. And so we're getting a deeper appreciation for some people in society, like our teachers, and just seeing some beautiful things come of it.
Yeah, it's the Romans 8:28 of, you know, I don't think God caused, and this is, I don't want to get into a theological debate, but I don't think God caused COVID-19, but I do think he can make all things work for good. And I think we're seeing some of the good come out of that. And I think we also need to make sure this could drag on for another month. This could, you know, I'm from Michigan, and my wife's from Atlanta, and both Michigan and Georgia have canceled school until July, August, whenever. I mean, ad infinitum. So, you know, those parents obviously are going a little nuts. We just need to remember to, like Sherry said in the chat earlier, what's the most important thing? Exactly. So I want to thank all of you for joining us today on Homeschool Chat. It's been awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Suzy. It's been great. I threw some kind of curveball questions at you, so I appreciate you guys sticking at the plate and wanting to hammer them home. Any last words before we get out of here? It's okay if not. I just have to throw that out there. This is a conversation. That's it.
You're all doing great. Everybody's doing really great. I think all around the board, all occupations, all people in general are just adapting and showing a lot more care. And everybody's doing amazing, I think, as a whole.
Cool. I agree. And I think we need to keep encouraging parents with that as well, that any parent that we're coming into contact with, man, you guys are doing great. You have not tried to flush your own head down the toilet yet. You're doing great. That's awesome. So, Pastor Julie, any last words before we sign off today?
Just to let families know that we at Bay Hope Church are praying for them, that they're being lifted up daily by Bay Hope staff, by the pastors, and by our church family. That thanks, Sherry. It's on the quote. You know, we really care, and if there's something that we can do at Bay Hope Church to support you, to love you, if you're in a real crisis, please reach out because you can get help. And just know God's for you. He knows how this is going to end. He's with you, and he won't leave you.
Amen to that. Well, happy Good Friday, everybody watching. Join us. We're going to be kind of silent tomorrow in honor of Silent Saturday. If you haven't checked out our newest release of the Doxology or our Good Friday experience, head over to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or our homepage at bayhope.com right now to check out some of the stuff we're doing for Good Friday. And then Easter Sunday, I'm a little bit biased, but it's going to be awesome. We want to see everybody there online at all of our platforms, live.bayhope.com, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, every imaginable, on the apps, on the TV apps, everywhere at 9:30 a.m. Eastern and 11 Eastern. And we're going to be having that on demand all throughout the rest of the day. It's going to be amazing. Ladies, thank you very much. Have an awesome rest of your Good Friday.
All right. Bye. Happy Easter.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.